This is Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action, and you're listening to the Krypton Report.
Up in the sky, look!
It's a bird!
It's a plane! It's the Krypton Report!
Welcome to the Krypton Report podcast, presented by the Southgate Media Group.
The All Things Kryptonian podcast, including Superman and Supergirl.
We discuss games, movies, cartoons, TV shows, and comics.
Krypton Report Pod can be found on Facebook, Twitter, Skype, YouTube, and Instagram.
And if you want to drop us a line, send it to kryptonreportpod@gmail.com.
We are on Patreon under Southgate Media Group.
And our official merch page is tpublic.com. Search Krypton Report.
Now on with the show.
So welcome to Krypton Report. This is a special little introduction that I'm doing. This episode is going to be labeled episode 105. Now, the Krypton Report, little history here, we're calling from Last Daughter to the Krypton Report. When we first launched the podcast years ago, it was labeled under the Last Daughter of Krypton. It was going to be solely a show about Supergirl. But then I wanted to do more with it than just being a commentary show about Supergirl. So what we did was, shortly after we launched, we rebranded to the Krypton Report. And later on, we got a new logo as well, which is the current logo now. And through those transitions, we started out on our own feed. Then we became part of the Legends of DC podcast, where that was the feed with all the different episodes. And then we came back to being the Krypton Report. And in that time, some shuffling, like we lost track of episodes. There's some episodes that got lost. So I spent the past couple of days kind of researching our feed, researching what we had done, and with our YouTube exclusives as well. And just kind of counted up and saw where we are, because I'm like, man, we should be coming up on 100, and we should do something special. Well, this is episode 105, and starting now, we're going to rebrand, and we're going to keep track of our, not really rebranding, I guess, but we're going to keep track of our episodes. So enjoy Krypton Report episode 105, and here we go. Welcome to the Krypton Report. I am your host, Tyler, the Superman of Blue. And with me, as always, to defend truth, justice, and can we say the American way? I mean, does that still hold true? I mean, what does that mean? Or is that too deep of a discussion for this podcast? The Superman Red, Mr. James Cole. Welcome, James.
Thank you, Tyler. How's it going?
It's going good. For those who don't know, James and I are experiencing third winter here in Ohio. Winter has come back to grace us with her slap in the face and sub-zero temperatures.
Yeah, for about the third time.
We are all very angry, but are getting by. I'm fighting a cold once again. It seems like I am never well, because as soon as I get over a cold, I experience it again, because the way the weather is here. So for all you people who are like, man, Ohio must be a great place to live. No, it's not.
Not if you get sick easily.
And the thing is, I don't get sick that easily. I get sicker easily now that I have young children who carry everything under the sky.
Right.
But I honestly usually do not get sick that easily. But it just seems like every time I shake this cold, it just comes back.
Well, I'm going to knock on wood here, because I've been lucky this year that with all the ups and downs that I haven't gotten sick. I mean, we had a temperature swing from negative 46, almost negative 50, all the way up to 50 degrees. So we had a 90-degree temperature swing here within the last 2 months. And then, yeah, I mean, we easily jump, 30 degrees in a single day.
So single bound, James. Single bound.
Yes, in a single bound, like leaping tall buildings in a single bound, or, like 3/4 of the way up and through the side of it.
Which segues into what our first discussion point is for tonight. Our first discussion point, ladies and gents, is they released Shazam trailer number 2. And
finally,
I'm loving the way this movie's marketed. It's definitely like the anti-BVS marketing. I feel like BVS gave away everything. I think if you sit down and cut all the trailers and TV spots together, you pretty much almost had the entire Batman-Superman fight. But Shazam is just like, no, we're not going to show you everything. And even when they do show us more, they just show us little bits. They might show us like a few more seconds of the same scene. It's great.
Right.
I love it because like I'm already
Well, you
sold.
see what
I'm already sold.
Right. Would you see, or at least hear, about Sandberg saying that just to be patient and, about people complaining like, that's it, we've seen most of this. And it's like, well, we don't want to give everything away. And it was like #doomsday.
Yeah. And I don't blame him. I mean, because all honesty, we know nothing about Savannah, what he plays into this, what's going to happen with, anything else. We don't know. And I'm okay with that. For once, I am really okay with it because I am tired of like kind of going in knowing everything. And I want to go in blind, as much as I possibly can.
Right. Yeah. Well, one, just real quick, we know that the length of the marketing just to try and keep it in people's minds was one of the detriments. Under wraps here. They don't want to overlap or get swallowed by Captain Marvel marketing, as well as we know as soon as that comes out, Endgame, because Captain Marvel is out, like Endgame marketing is ramping up because then it's only 2 months until that. And if they didn't market Shazam right, it would easily get swallowed up in that whole thing.
I think
unfortunately, Endgame is as anticipated as Infinity War.
Oh yeah. And it has every right to. It's earned.
Of course.
And I'll tell you right now, first of all, the movie sucks or we have a problem because it's a female superhero stuff. That's old, people. Let's get over that. Okay.
That's like something that they would have said back in the 50s.
Wonder Woman was a great film. The problem is they haven't put like talent and really tried to do a good superhero female film. Catwoman was atrocious, and most of that is geared towards the fact that I don't even know what it was we saw. Like that wasn't Catwoman. That was like the Crow with cats.
And Elektra was pretty bad too, but it was better than Catwoman.
Was the first we're going to try to do a real female superhero film, and then even that, it just didn't work. So those are the ones people reference, and all I'm saying is Wonder Woman was great, but Captain Marvel, it looks like they're trying too hard. Like they're trying to oversell it that she's overpowered and a super, like the strongest superhero ever. And like watching the trailers, I'm not that excited for this movie. Because in the trailers, I don't get a sense of her character or what this is. I just get a lot of cool shots. And then I feel like I'm watching where somebody just decided to take all their favorite superhero movies and put it in a blender. And what we have coming is
this Captain Marvel.
Right.
You know,
well,
I don't know. Like everyone's like ramping up for it, but, you know. And I just want to say this before the weekend comes and everybody in the world goes and sees it. And I'm going to go see it, but I don't know. I'm not feeling it, and it has nothing to do with female superheroes or anything like that. I feel like they're trying too hard.
I don't know. It's just, it kind of seems like the movie's getting overtaken by the media crap just because it's a woman. I mean, it's a superhero film. They're going to market it as a spectacle to the general audience because that's why they're going to see it in the first place. Is it's a Marvel film and it looks really cool. And then when they go see it, hopefully it has a compelling story and it's well acted and well crafted. I mean, that's the way it is. It's getting swallowed up by the media crap, but I mean, what isn't anymore?
Yeah.
Like there's the media is trying to just media and news outlets and all this other stuff. They're trying to twist and destroy everything. Everything has to have a negative connotation, and it's getting ridiculous. I don't even watch the news or pay attention to that stuff. I mean, you know, go down the headlines and stuff like that. I only skim through half of the things that are posted anymore.
Yep.
You know, unless it's something confirming a news item that we need to discuss or that I'm interested in, I don't even bother reading half the stuff anymore.
Oh man, see, that would be a perfect segue for the other thing we want to touch on, but we haven't finished up with Shazam yet. So Shazam looks awesome. You know, we got to see Shazam run. We got to see a little bit more of his power.
Yeah, that super speed effect, I think, actually looks pretty cool.
It looks like a great, fun movie, and I can't wait to discuss it more with you. So,
yeah, I can't wait to see it. We are under a month away, or exactly a month away, something like that.
Exactly a
very,
month
very
yesterday.
close. Yeah, I thought it was the 5th.
So,
because Hellboy is the 12th.
And Hellboy.
Yeah, not to discuss it, but did you watch the new Red Band trailer that just came out?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
My best buddy Devin is like a huge Hellboy fan, and I've read a lot of the BPRD stuff, like the side stories. That's more about BPRD, and I kind of wish they would take Hellboy and someone would kind of structure it like, all right, we're gonna do a Hellboy movie, but then like a BPRD TV series or something. Like we're just gonna kind of try to keep expanding this stuff, you know, because there's a lot to his universe, you know, and I feel like he's just not getting. They're not taking the property where it could go, so.
Right. Well, I mean, I do enjoy the fact that they are making it a rated R movie.
Yeah.
As opposed to PG-13, even though I loved the Ron Perlman movies, they were really fun and they were good. I definitely think a character like Hellboy and the supernatural involved, the drinking, the smoking, you know, lots of guns and weapons. And I mean, yeah, it could definitely be taken much farther. I haven't read any, but I actually looked some up. So I'm going to start reading some soon.
Cool. Yeah, man, it's totally worth checking out.
Hopefully start from the beginning.
But let's dive into some Supergirl here. And this episode... what?
Oh, we didn't even talk about the Shazam trailer. We just talked about Shazam.
That's true. All right, let's jump back to the trailer.
I mean, not a whole lot of new content in the trailer, just more some extended things, the Rock of Eternity, the Wizard, some more superpower type tests and whatnot.
Oh, dude, my favorite's when, like, I don't know why, but my favorite's when he flicks, like, the metal trash can. And it just goes, like, flying.
Right. Crumples like a tin can.
I love it. I don't know why I do, but I just, it's my favorite. And I guess because it's shot, it looks so real.
Right. Isn't the ATM scene from the New 52 Johns?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I thought I recognized that. And they do the same beer scene, which is funny with Freddy standing behind him.
Looking surprised and shocked.
Right. What is this Captain Sparkle Fingers? Like, that is such a generic and ridiculous name.
I feel like that's the big takeaway from this.
Did you see the online poster where it said Captain Sparkle Fingers?
Well, he's got to keep his captain somewhere.
Right. And Batman makes a little cameo in here.
Dude, I watched the trailer twice this morning with Solomon because he was like, "Daddy, let's watch it again." I was like, "Okay." And he's like, "Hey, that's Batman toy." And I'm like, "Yes, buddy. Yes, it is."
Right. I do like the fact that, he's a 15-year-old kid with superpowers and he's going to make mistakes like the bus and everything, or, trying to leap a tall building in a single bound.
It just crashes through it. And you hear him like, "Sorry." And I like how he's kind of like he's in the light. If you look, like he's during the daytime, there's people around. He's not flying away. He's not hiding. We do see him. It looks like he saves Mary.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Because we get the line where she says, "You're him. You're the hero."
Yeah, the family, the kids. The kids come up to him. They find out who he is.
So, I mean, I don't know. I just think it's going to be a really fun movie that everyone has underestimated.
Yeah, it looks fun. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Next DC film comes out soon.
And I like that it's in the same universe, but it's not like Shazam's the key to the mother boxes. You know what I'm saying? Like, they exist in the same universe, but they're not beating our head with this is how it connects.
Yeah. And, I mean, I honestly don't think they have to. I said that before. I mean, the way they were, I was a proponent for the way they were building the world, but it does make sense how some people would be like, okay, well, now they come out with the Justice League movie. Well, we've never even seen Cyborg, Flash, or Aquaman. Like, why are we even supposed to care about or know who these characters are at this point in the Justice League? You know what I mean? So that's understandable from a general audience point of view. As a fan, I was on board with the way they were building the universe, where all these people existed, and they would maybe get introduced here or there, and then they would have their own films coming down the line. But and even if you look over at even if you look back at Marvel's Phase 1, none of those were like, they didn't beat you over the head that these movies were connected and that they were building to the Avengers. You know what I mean? And every movie didn't have that through line plot thread that said, the Tesseract was going to be the big thing in the Avengers. You know what I mean? It didn't even show up until the last movie, before the Avengers, with Captain America, the first Avenger. So, it's not like it's only gotten to the point it has now over there with Marvel after 20 movies.
Yeah.
That it got to the point where everything is now there are threads that connect all the way back to the very beginning, but it's not like those were overarching and everybody had to grab onto those threads and follow them to the very end, and I don't think that they have to be beholden to that in the DC universe. Just because it's been done doesn't mean they have to come out the gate swinging with all of that, because you're not going to get the general audience interested in that, especially when they don't know what's going on. The fans are going to know what's what and the threads that are going to be connected, and they're going to see where it's going or where it's come from, but that's not going to help the general audience any.
And you are absolutely correct. I mean, I don't want to say they have to dumb down stuff, because I think we always exist in a world where we want things to be our stories and stuff that we can get into. But at the same time, we just don't want to see like the dumbed down version of our stories. And we don't want to see, things repeated. We want to see something new. We want to see these more intricate stories and these characters played true. And it's a balancing act. Sometimes you can pull it off. Sometimes you have trouble.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be people who are never satisfied, whether it's good or bad, or if it's $1 billion film, there's going to be people tearing it down.
Oh yeah. We've talked about that enough. There's always going to be somebody who's like, so,
like those Reddit trolls with DC subscriptions and all that kind of stuff.
Yep. But I mean, so pulling back around, Shazam looks great. I don't really want to break the trailer down frame by frame type thing, but I just want to touch on it. That it looks awesome. Watch it. It's so great that it gives you something to play with. It gives you something to enjoy, but it still leaves so many questions about what's the plot? Who is Savannah? Or Savannah, not Savannah. Jeez.
Savannah, Georgia. No.
Jenny just got back from, and she's been talking about it, so it's been on my mind because I want to go where it's warm.
Yeah, right.
Not where it's cold, which is here and everywhere. And I just think that they're doing a great job marketing, keeping so much of the story hidden and tucked away. And it's going to be a great surprise to go in and just enjoy the movies.
Yeah. Yeah. All the marketing has been around the character. There hasn't been any story marketing. There hasn't been any, villain marketing. It's all been around Shazam. There isn't even hardly any type of marketing involving anybody else. It's Shazam and Freddy, there's only glimpses of the family, glimpses of Savannah, glimpse of the wizard, and that's it. So there is quite a lot left to be desired, and the movie's coming soon. So it'll be really good to see.
We'll see a lot of advertisement. We'll see a lot of marketing. So we're going to crank up because we only have a month left.
Yeah, right after next weekend, and I have no doubt about it. Or this weekend.
Yep.
Right after this weekend. since we are recording 2 days before Captain Marvel is officially out in theaters.
So, all right. So let's get into news real quick and then into Supergirl. We won't spend a bunch of time on this, but got 3 things today about Suicide Squad. And we'll start with number 3. I guess Joel Kinnaman is not coming back as Rick Flag for the Suicide Squad number 2 / reboot. Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn is going to be in the film. And then number 1 is Will Smith will not return as Deadshot, but is being replaced by Idris Elba. I now like Deadshot. I mean,
yeah.
I like Will Smith, but he put a lot of Will Smith isms in that character, and I think Idris Elba is just a better actor and a better presence. That he's just gonna make me just be, I believe this character.
Yeah.
Like I'm just.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Will Smith has always been wholesome, so it was a little harder to accept him, I guess, as in the role of a mercenary or a hired killer. So he sold it. It worked, but I do think that Idris Elba is an upgrade.
Oh my gosh, it is. So, and I mean, that's just.
Yeah. The next thing I want to ask you, just involving super news, we have Superboy cast for Titans season 2.
Yes, we do.
I haven't seen him in anything, and he doesn't have a very long list of anything, and he's from Australia, but we're getting Superboy in Titans season 2.
I mean, he looks good.
Awesome.
And one thing he did was he did a made for TV movie based on this series my mom watched called The Blake Mysteries or Dr. Blake, something like Blake Mystery, Murder Mystery or something like that. And they did an episode that was like a made for TV special movie. He was in that, and I was trying to see if she had it or if it was anywhere to stream so I could watch it. So I was curious about it. And I haven't found it. So that was a little frustrating because I was like, man, it's probably the only thing he was in that I could get a hold of. Because I'm always curious when they like when Henry Cavill was announced as Superman.
Mm-hmm.
First thing I did was I looked to see what he was in. Saw he was in this little thing coming out called Immortals.
The Immortals.
Went and saw it just because I was curious about his acting. So I got when it comes to my characters, I got to check out when Christian Bale was announced as Batman. I was like, what's this guy been in? Found Equilibrium.
Right.
So
yeah, you always want to see like what kind of chops that people have, when they're coming to play a character that you want to see on screen. You want the actor to do the character justice.
And I think that's it for news, is it?
Yeah.
Feels right. I mean, all the Suicide Squad stuff just broke within the past 2 hours. So.
Yeah, that was real soon. Real shortly here.
I guess the only other thing we could say is Arrow is going to end after season 8. And they're saying it's going to be a shorter season. Which probably means he's going to die during Crisis. So, okay. You got 8 seasons, bro. Good job.
Yeah, 8 seasons. This last season's going to have 10 episodes.
So, I mean, that sounds pretty good,
So they've got I hopped on Facebook real quick, and there's just a tiny little clip of Shazam. It says Flight 2.0 incoming.
Yeah, and he's just
he's like
falling.
He's falling. He's falling, talking about Superman. I believe I can fly.
And I like that there's those kind of references.
Right.
All right, so let's move on. Supergirl. James, I'm going to let you take the lead here, talk about the episode and what your thoughts were, and just kind of take the lead on what this episode was about.
Okay, well, this is Supergirl, Season 4, Episode 13. What's funny about truth, justice, and the American way? Basically, Action Comics 775 brought into the world of Supergirl. They bring the Elite into this episode with Manchester Black, Menagerie, the Hat, and the how do you pronounce that? Morai, that's it. Morai. So instead of the other fourth guy, they have a Morai on the Elite team in this episode. I really enjoyed this episode for a number of reasons. So it's just I don't know, as we go along, we can touch on a lot of them. Let's talk about the Elite. So Manchester Black is in prison after trying to kill Ben Lockwood.
And he's got purple hair.
Which was the last time we saw him. Yes, and he has purple hair. Which, what's the actor's name? He asked how we liked the purple hair on Twitter.
and we said we loved it, and he liked our tweet.
Excellent.
Just feels good to be acknowledged.
Oh, of course, absolutely. Well, he's been doing a great job as Manchester Black. I really hope that he gets powers. This season.
That's skipping ahead in this episode. I'm glad that this wasn't like a one and done with the Elite.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that would have been like a huge slap in the face. I like this episode. I don't feel that it earned the title. What's so funny about Truth, Justice, and the American Way? I think this episode should have been something called like The Elite. And then there should have been one that came out later. So we built to the ideology. Because, I mean, that's really what that story is about. It's the ideology of what Supergirl stands for. Well, Superman in the book and in the film.
Yeah.
Versus the Elite.
Well, they do challenge that.
I just feel like it was so underwhelmed. I mean, it was so underplayed. You had a lot of side stories. And the big thing to that story is at the end where Superman releases and shows them about their way. And I mean, I'm hoping that's why they'll have another episodes like Supergirl versus the Elite, where it's just her versus all of them. Because, you know, in this one we saw he's got the Elite, she's got her super friends. You know, we had Brainy, Dreamer, and Martian Manhunter.
John.
Joined her to help fight the Elite. And Manchester, I really want him to get powers. Because I feel like he needs them. He's smart, but he has no powers. And why would these people with abilities want to follow him?
Yeah. I mean, he's formidable without powers, but like in this episode, they really did. I think I would say that it earned the title just for the fact of what goes on in this episode and the way that they challenge the government and the way that they challenge Supergirl and her ideology. The elite go from military base to military base, killing soldiers and people who, and children of liberty, who torture and kill aliens.
Yeah.
So, they are doing, it's not right what they're doing, but they are standing up for what's right, seeing as obviously, being tortured and killed just because you're an alien, they are still sentient beings. And in this season, they started and aliens had rights, and now as the season progresses, it's like, well, no, human rights are different than alien rights.
Yeah,
and they are still beings and people. It's just it's segregation and a lot of stuff that's been dealt with in the real world. So, but the way that they challenge her, they openly challenge Supergirl in front of the public, in front of the cameras. And then the fact that the president is not on the up and up. He went around protocol and developed this satellite that is going to destroy any incoming alien craft that gets near the Earth. So it could be innocents, refugees, not necessarily any beings of threat. They discover this, the elite discover this, and pass the information along to Supergirl, which then, it goes down the chain to the DEO, to Alex, and even to Haley. And then the way the president deputizes Agent Liberty as deputy of alien affairs.
Yep.
Or something like that title. So the president is not on the up and up. And I forget, there was something else too that he did that wasn't in line with ideals, definitely showing that he has his own agenda and is kind of not going through the proper channels.
Oh, no,
as it were.
He's not.
Well, the elite, they decide to fight back against the president of the United States as well. They set the satellite to target and destroy the White House and everybody in it. So that's when Supergirl and her super friends have to do their thing, fight the elite, as well as try and, save the president and stop the satellite. Which kind of brings me to Alex in this episode. Since Alex has had her mind wiped, she's been a different person.
Yeah.
For the most part. She had lost her compassion towards aliens and things like that. I am actually glad to see that compassion back in this episode, because I kind of thought this before, and really since I watched this episode, a lot of her personality and things were formed around having a sister who is an alien, but also her parents. She had the same parents growing up, and they worked in different alien fields, biology and different fields like that, dealing with aliens, and they were compassionate people. So I thought that Alex would always have that heart, not just because she's not connected to Supergirl. So it kind of, to me, it seemed it worked for the story, but to me it did seem, especially after this episode, it seemed out of character for Alex to be as cold as she was, because she still had the same upbringing and she would still have the same heart and much of the same personality.
I agree to a point, but the problem is how much of that upbringing, like in her formative years, was with her sister being an alien. But her family was still involved in aliens since the beginning, and she would have been brought up with that compassion for aliens. She wouldn't be cold towards aliens because only because her sister was an alien. I mean, I'm sure that would help, but her parents are these type of people, and they're in that field, and they were in that field before they even got Kara. But I'm just saying, gaps in her memory and stuff. Like, what if Alex was jealous of the aliens because her parents spent more time with aliens than with her, seeing herself as an only child? Or, what if that's what made her, hate aliens? Because her parents were so loving. And then she has all these, gaps in her memory and things like that.
I mean, that seems plausible, but also that would have to kind of generate an entire new life of new experiences.
Right. And that's why I feel like this whole Alex not knowing thing is kind of underplayed, because in all reality, it's not like you just discovered it. You've known it for years, and it's helped shape your identity as a person. It'd be interesting if she had something she was thinking of, and she was like, oh, I'm going to go back and think about, Alex, remember that time? Or she's like, Carr, remember that time? And, just more of her really struggling with stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was nice to see her back to form in this episode. And she still didn't know that Kara and Supergirl were one and the same, but she was definitely back to form. She had compassion for the aliens. She had morals. She had her standards, which, she decided it was the right thing to do to go to the military base at the time of the satellite launch, because she doesn't believe that was morally right. And that's when she brings it up to Haley afterwards. And we find out that the president had made this decision by himself and spent billions of taxpayer dollars on this.
Yeah.
When it wasn't even brought through the proper military channels.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but how do you just misplace or just hide funding for, billions of dollars?
Right. And then her interactions with Lena, it was actually nice. We saw Lena take the government contract. And it kind of made her seem like she's going down that bad road. But this episode kind of put it in perspective that, she's not giving them the procedure. She's only giving them product. So she has a line in the sand that she's drawing and saying that she doesn't trust the government, and then her wanting Alex to be in on it. Their interactions and the way that she talks to Alex and tells her, what the stipulations of the project are and what she is doing, that she's not coming up with the procedure and she's not giving it to the government to be able to just create their own superhumans. She's using the government funding to further her research and just give them the product of her research, superhumans, but not not giving them free reign to create their own, which could obviously easily get out of hand.
Agreed. Now, I do have to say, one thing, Alex's interest in Lena, I wonder, will Alex volunteer to be a test subject, or will she do something to give herself powers? That's one of my thoughts. The most ironic part in this episode has nothing to do with this episode, but in one of my classes, I just had to study the scene from Heat where they're in the coffee shop. And the night before, so for Saturday night, I watched Heat. And then Kara references, what are we doing? The scene from Heat? And I was like, wow.
That's like a deep pull.
I know. That's why I was just like, wow, this is I put in my notes, the president, the way he acts, this is how you end up with Injustice Superman. And I wonder, will the president pardon Lex? Well, that would be what helps bring Lex Luthor out, is he gets a presidential pardon. Now, one big thing that happened here in this episode was the Hat gets Brainy's Legion ring. And that's a big deal. That's a time-traveling ring.
Yeah.
But
now I don't have any other familiarity with the Hat from other than the comic book and from that one issue, and then Superman versus the Elite.
I'm pretty sure that's about it.
Yeah. So maybe it's open for interpretation. I mean, is that hat magical, or did they add the add the fact that it's that it harnesses fifth dimensional energy?
I thought it was magical.
Oh. So
I don't know.
I mean, it seemed from the movie, from Superman versus the Elite, and from the comic, it basically seemed like magic. No explanation given, but them actually giving the explanation in this episode that the fedora harnesses fifth dimensional energy, which, that's mixes Pidlick and Batmite and all that other jazz that, fifth dimensional energy, it has no limits, they have like omnipotent power. So, I mean, that kind of gives it, I don't know, it gives it something unique maybe for the show, but, I like that they still brought up the fact of, that the fifth dimension is out there, that's still folded into the mythology here of the story, and kind of already gives something that's been introduced into Supergirl already. So they don't have to introduce magic into Supergirl.
Well, I mean,
kind of separate season.
Has been there.
Exactly. And they discussed in that episode about fifth dimensional objects and the powers that fifth dimensional beings have. So, they were able to use that, something that's already established in this continuity, so that they're not introducing magic into the second part of this season.
I agree.
Because who wants Supergirl to, be the season of the witches? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. So, I'm going to say my favorite line from this was when Manchester makes the comment to Kara about, you came in a basket. That's pretty kind of Moses-y, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's you know what? It's nice to actually have them do a Jewish poll.
Yes.
For Superman, because that was like literally the inspiration. The baby in the basket sent down the river.
I mean, Old Testament heroes, Moses. That was one of the the iconic story ideas that gets lost in the modern interpretation.
Yeah, since it's all about this Christianic and messianic figure these days.
Stupid people. But what would you rate this episode?
I had a lot of fun with the episode. I had, I thought all of the characters were true to form, and did quite well. It was good to see. We didn't even talk about Agent of Liberty except for being deputized. It was kind of good to see him kind of be like the government guy in front of the cameras, and then kind of revert back to Agent Liberty when he beat that guy senseless for challenging him, saying that he wasn't a man of action and he was all talk,
and that he was
boiling it down.
Yeah, like he got soft.
Yeah. And, he hurt that dude. And, might I mention what?
No, did you get the sense that his wife and kid were mad at him or something? Because it just seemed awkward.
Well,
he was talking to him on the phone, like as if, he couldn't see him. He's like, "Oh, okay, buddy."
Right. The way that I took it, because he was leaving a message, the way that I took it was he was really questioning himself. When he was talking to him, the way he was talking and the way he was asking questions, it sounded like he was questioning himself and trying to, find out from them, if he is doing the right thing, if he feels like he is doing what he should be doing at this moment. That's what it felt like to me. It didn't feel like he was mad.
I can see that.
Or they were mad.
I can definitely see that. Because I was kind of like, did I miss? Because I watched the show because Solomon, he wants to watch it too. But yet, sometimes he'll just go crazy, and I'm, if I don't get a chance to rewatch the episodes I'll miss little things on my first watch. So I was like, did I miss something?
Yeah, that's the way that scene struck me. And might I mention the guy who is talking down to him, saying he's gone soft, and then gets a beat down on. He was from the second season of Smallville. He was one of the college guys in the coffee house that tried to assault Lana.
Well, of course they did. Hey, look, you're hot. We're gonna beat you up now.
Right.
So that's what we do, bro.
Yeah. So yeah, I liked everybody in this episode. I mean, like I said, I liked Lena. They kind of put her in perspective, especially the way that it ended last time. Kara was good in the episode. Alex was really good. Jean was good. David Harewood going, with the inner conflict of being a manhunter and trying to honor his father. That inner conflict was really good. The Manchester and the Elite, I liked all of them. They did a really good job. Dreamer, Brainy, I know I'm missing somebody here.
Jimmy was the one that got the smallest role.
That's the one I was thinking of.
He's working with that reporter to open up that, the stuff about Lena. He told her that her person probably had it wrong. Now he's like, hey, let's look into this.
Yeah. Well, he let his emotions cloud his judgment for being a reporter. and telling her to bury what she had before, basically in not those words, telling her it was nothing, but basically burying it himself. And now he doesn't have that emotional attachment. So as a reporter, he's doing what he probably should have done to begin with. Hopefully it's not, for the wrong reasons, because they're not together now. You know what I'm saying? Cause that conflict for Jimmy. Perhaps it's just being a true reporter again, without the emotional attachment to the story.
Yep.
Although it's kind of hard to see why he wouldn't have emotional attachment, positively or negatively, with it dealing with Lena and the Luthers at this point. So that may have that may cause some issues in the future. But you asked me to rate the episode, and I would give this episode 9.5 out of 10. And the last thing I want to say that was really positive that I really liked, I am so glad that they brought the spacesuit back in this episode. It wasn't just for one episode early in the season. She tossed her the spacesuit. It formed around her like an Iron Man suit, and she flew into space with it to go after the satellite. And that was pretty awesome.
It was cool because, she just gets hit by it, oh. And it's just,
yeah. Yep. Which was really cool. The suit was cool. The effects of her flying into space and then stopping the satellite from destroying the White House, but also her hesitation and then her ultimate destruction of the satellite, and then her discussion with Jimmy where he asked her about the story that was going on, and she used what she just went through with the satellite as morally, is it right or wrong, and are you doing it for the right reasons? And her explanation that related to Jimmy's issue with the issue she just dealt with. It was some pretty good dialogue. So yeah. It was a very strong episode and very enjoyable. I really like this one.
I really liked Manchester a lot in this episode. He's just a character that I've really come to like because he gives a different perspective, and the actor really brings a lot to it. So that definitely, kicks it up more for me. I'd give it an 8.5. I think there was just some stuff they could have peeled off there, and I would have liked to have seen a little bit more just depth with the battle of ideologies, for what I would have liked to have seen. But, nothing bad.
Right. Well, like we said, this was only a first part, so the story's not even done. So hopefully, we'll get to see more of that played out in a future episode next week or further.
And that's why I'm glad, like I said, it wasn't a one and done. They're going to keep it going because I think there's more.
Absolutely.
There's more. Because, the one thing I kept getting lost in was, they're talking about the elite and they're showing them broadcast, but who are they really broadcasting to?
They said the world.
Yeah, but I mean, people who are just, love aliens. Because, in the book, it was the whole world was tired of these criminals and these politicians fighting and all the death toll and just wanted them to be, made to get along, so to speak. And that's when the elite just basically, that's what they did. They took out bad people, And yes,
yeah,
aliens is bad, but would everybody agree to that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess if they were broadcasting to the world, I guess there would be we're standing up for the percentage of people who who believe in alien rights and who are against, the Children of Liberty and everything like that. And then also to the other percentage of people, to the other half of people who are, with the Children of Liberty, who fight for the Children of Liberty, or who even believe in the Children of Liberty, and their sentiment and their actions, that they're trying to give hope to one group while trying to put fear in the other group by, we're not Supergirl and we're going to kill you if you continue this route. And then the other group is like, oh, well, yeah, they're fighting for us and they're fighting for them, and, they're getting things done.
I agree.
Kind of the same sentiment, getting things done as was in the book, and Superman versus the Elite. But yeah, I think that's more of probably what they were trying to get through by broadcasting to the whole world, give hope to one group and put fear in another.
Yep. So let's get out of here. It's late. It's cold. I'm cold.
Today they released 4 covers of the John Romita Jr. and Frank Miller Superman Year 1. And I'm guessing that it's only going to be 4 issues, unless these are 4 covers for the first issue, because it doesn't say like cover for issue 1 or 2. But the only thing that kind of leads me to believe it might be something different is one of the covers, like, let's see, has a different suit. But have you seen these yet?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, they're all a little different. All the suits kind of look a little different. One of them kind of looks like black and red. Another one almost looks like the shield is rounded.
Yeah.
And then you got a black and red shield on a blue suit. And a third one. And the fourth one, it looks like Frank Miller. Looks like, what you would see out of The Dark Knight Returns Superman.
Yeah, it does look like that. Also, it's weird because the one, like you said, the black and red suit looks kind of like Superboy from the New 52. But I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel, because, John Romita Jr., his art, I like it in the context of his own stuff, but not really when he does other people's stuff, character-wise.
I mean, out of many artists, he's not one I'm highly familiar with. So, I mean, the covers look pretty good. I mean, I'm interested in the story. I want to see what Frank Miller has to offer Superman, plus it being Black Label. So
yeah, I mean, that intrigues
typically
me.
Considered a mature line of books.
Oh, you sure about that? I mean, you sure? What happens if we see Superman's penis in shadow? I mean, is that going to ban the book?
Oh, yeah, that'll. I mean, they showed Batman. Couldn't imagine what people would do if they did Superman. Because God forbid, anybody be naked.
In an adult book. Good thing Dr. Manhattan's not in this book.
I know, right? I mean, you label a book for mature audiences only. I mean, how immature are the people reading it?
Right, exactly. But I mean, I'm like, John Romita Jr. did that run with Jeff Johns, and it was what was it? Man of Tomorrow on the New 52. It's where he got his solar flare. John Romita Jr. did. And then, I know a lot of his artwork from where he did Kick-Ass.
Oh, okay. I'm familiar with that artwork, and I didn't read. I don't think I read that one out of the New 52.
I mean, it was good. It was, I kind of expect a little bit more from Jeff Johns, but
yeah,
the solar flare, and then Superman got his second new costume, so it was like he still had the New 52-esque costume, but it had ditched more of the armor and went with the cloth, because that's where he got his solar flare powers. But and he revealed himself to Jimmy as Clark, and that was shortly before the whole Lois outing him out thing.
Right, I remember that.
But like I said about the artwork, it's not bad. It's just not what I really like from certain established characters. Like when I think of Superman and stuff like that, I'm not picturing a Romita Jr. styled character. There's a certain, I don't know, quality and something you want from your Superman character, and that's just not what I feel. I don't know. I'm just I'm thinking here.
Well, we'll even see kind of where how old he is in this Superman year one.
Mm-hmm.
How far back they go. Because I mean, he looks in the art on covers, anyways. The majority of the covers, he looks pretty young.
Yeah, he does.
So.
And like I said, I don't know if it's all like separate covers or if that's all 4 issues. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll see. But we got a release date on it too in June.
It'll probably
I don't remember the exact day it drops, but it's in June,
and it's in the teens.
I think it was 19, but
that sounds
hard
right
to say because it's
June
right of 2019, or if it's June 19th of 2019. I don't know.
Let me pull up my calendar. It's not like I'm not sitting by a electronic device here. April, May, June. I'm gonna go with June 19th because that is a Wednesday.
All right, sounds good.
I do want to. It'll probably be issue 1, and then next month we'll get issue 2, and then 6 months will go by and we'll get issue 3, and then a year will go by and issue 4 will come, and we'll all forget it even existed.
Oh God, I hope not.
Much like last.
I mean, they do.
But just like last week we got Doomsday Clock number 9, and it's like a really big, which was awesome. But then I thought back, it was January or November of 2017 when Doomsday Clock 1 dropped. And I'm like,
has it really been that long since Doomsday Clock started? Oh my God.
Because I had to look it up because I was like starting to forget when this started, like, and I was like, man, like that is a lot more back than I realized.
Yeah. I mean, if that book would have come out and it'd be done by now, if that book would have come out month to month like it was supposed to, and they didn't keep putting it back and delay after delay. I mean, it's still great, but it would have been like a pretty epic storyline, bringing the Watchmen in, attaching Dr. Manhattan, I mean, with this issue, I mean, the wave of his hand and what he did, and what is left to come from Doomsday Clock. I mean,
and
I'm sure it'd have been pretty epic.
The thing with Doomsday Clock that's killing me, it was supposed to be a big deal to reveal that Dr. Manhattan created the New 52. That was teased at the end of the New 52 into Rebirth. That was teased at Rebirth. And then throughout Rebirth, there's a here and there. Then Doomsday Clock was supposed to hit and finish it all out. And I feel like we've just been like strung along and teased, and they've kind of passed the Rebirth storyline and are back into just, the comics.
Yeah, it's now just DC Universe. It's like,
and
Rebirth should have concluded with the conclusion of Doomsday Clock,
and then into Universe and everything. So it's just kind of like, oh man. And I feel like Superman's the pinnacle character, where it was his story, and we just kind of got lost, behind. And I just don't understand. Like, I want to know the times table. Like, if you have this story and you're going to print, okay? When you print the first issue, where are you?
because I would almost expect, like, okay, Jeff, we're going to start printing Doomsday Clock. I have all 12 scripts in. Good. Writing's done. All right. I got 4 issues, 5 issues, art done. Awesome. We're going to print, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just kind of wonder what their schedule and times table looks like. So that they do, when they do get behind, it's like, well, who's lacking?
Right. Well, I mean, I believe I'd heard that, Gary Frank was saying that the art was taking longer than necessary, or not necessary, but longer than anticipated. Trying to keep up with the story, but also who knows if they've changed any of the story along the way. So I mean, I don't know. It just, with all the delays, it just kind of seems like it's lost some of its impact.
Yeah.
With it taking so long. Like it should have, like I said, it should have kind of wrapped up Rebirth with the conclusion of Doomsday Clock and then gone into the DC universe as it is now. And I mean, it's still a great story, and I'm sure once it's collected, after it finishes, it'll be amazing to reread in one cohesive story.
Mm-hmm.
But the impact of the story with all of the delays has just hurt it, I think.
I can understand that.
I still get it and read it every time it comes out, but still.
Sometimes I have to remember what I read last time.
Yeah, as soon, like when it's done, like I'm gonna have to go back and read it through, just issue by issue, so that way, or when the trade comes out, have to read it like that, because it's gonna be so far in between. It's like, okay, which was the last one? I mean, as soon as you start reading it, you kind of remember where you left off from issue to issue, but it's kind of tough when you have 3 months in between issues.
Exactly. But segueing into this week's Supergirl episode, Stand and Deliver. Are you going to stand and deliver, James?
Pro alien side, yes.
So, my wife and I, the other night, we were watching, I got the new Wizard World movie. I guess you can't really call it Harry Potter movie. But like, so we got Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald. And we were watching it. And are you familiar with those movies at all?
I saw the first one.
Are you familiar with the Harry Potter movies?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen and have all of them.
So this isn't really spoilers or anything, because like the film is its own thing. But my wife and I were talking about what kind of character should Grindelwald be, because it's like we're kind of this new film's introducing him, and I have like on the tip of my tongue like the kind of the villain he should be, and I say all that because when we were watching Supergirl, it dawned on me Grindelwald needs to be a Ben Lockwood. Because, the Harry Potter gave us Voldemort, who was the villain of like pure evil about killing and pure blood and, the Hitler villain. Okay. And then if you watch what Grindelwald says in this one, I'm like, he needs to be like Ben Lockwood, where he's a villain who's in some point of view, he is correct and he is right, but it's how he's doing things and where he's taking it that's wrong.
Right.
And that's just like, and that's why I really love Sam Witwer as Ben Lockwood, like in what he's doing as this character, to where, and you can really see why people are joining him and his cause.
Right. So, I mean, right in Ben Lockwood, Sam Witwer still, I mean, amazing performances. He, this episode, he's now in a government position, in front of the cameras, in front of the people, and like, instead of being the way he was early in the season on his own show, where he was very charismatic, talking, giving speeches, bringing people over to his side with charisma and well prepared speeches. But in this episode, he's very much, I mean, for lack of a better example, I mean, he's very much like Trump during his campaign, inciting fear and violence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that is literally what he's doing in this episode. Is he's at his rallies, and he's feeding on and perpetuating people's fears and inciting their violence publicly.
And I mean, so we're kind of jumping around here, but I really thought it was neat the fact that Alex was assigned by the president to be his guard, his protector, his like, personal bodyguard. And it was kind of like her between what is right, what should she do? And I mean, yeah, I mean, you want to protect the person, but man, he's saying some stuff that's just.
Yeah. And she ends up strong arming him off the stage and calling him the threat, as opposed to anything that's going on in the crowd. The pro-alien march and the rally to ratify the Alien Amnesty Act.
Which I really, in a way, like, I kind of want the president to be against it, because I really kind of almost want this to be an evil president, since we're not getting like President Luthor, and like they really have to fight that. Like give them that villain that it's like they can't punch their way out of.
Right. So yeah, I mean, you just brought up Ben Lockwood. I figure I'd go right down the line with Ben.
Oh, I know I love. I mean, I like the idea that the president is on Ben's side.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, he appointed him. He's the one who got him out of prison. He even, created the satellite to launch into space, and did it without the proper government channels to spend billions of dollars.
I mean, how do you,
yeah.
How do you just, I don't know, lose track of, hey, we misplaced like $2 billion. Oh, okay, no biggie. Just
right
it out of the
how do you,
slush fund. Okay.
Yeah, how do you how do you allocate $5 billion or whatever, probably of military spending, into a secret satellite that nobody knows that you're going to launch into space to shoot down alien crafts, friendly or not.
And then Ben at the end, like I said, we're jumping around, kind of steps back, and they make the statement about him and the president are taking a moment to reassess what's going on and what they should do.
Yeah, and have congressional hearings, as opposed to like straight taking it to the public and trying to, get the public's overwhelming response to say do it and get it done without having to go through the proper channels. is almost the what it seemed like. But yeah, it made him take a step back because of the response of the press, of Jimmy's photos.
Yeah, and
of the rally and the march.
And Jimmy's definitely, you can tell, like, he's wanting to get back in the action. I think, he feels too distant at being this editor. He wants to be in the thick of it.
Mm-hmm.
And what is that doing to him, being disconnected and not being part of any of it? Being on the sidelines as the editor. And we'll come back. We'll come back to Jimmy here in a minute.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I'm just Jimmy's pictures and the articles, very much showing the humanity, the acceptance, people helping aliens, because the Children of Liberty and the people at the rally became so violent and were attacking and injuring the aliens. So I'd have to watch it again. I only got the chance to watch it once. Manchester incites everything that happens. We'll go all the way back. But at this point, Manchester incites what happens, and he tries to get the aliens to throw the first punch. Obviously, him and the elite, they get started, they throw the first punch, but I'm wondering if the Children of Liberty and the anti-alien humans were the ones who, threw the first punch before the aliens started to fight back to defend themselves.
Oh, yeah. And what I do want to reiterate again, Manchester is a human. Like, he is...
Yeah, he does not have any powers.
He is smart, but he is just a human. He is using tech. Like, this episode saw Manchester and Hat at the Fortress of Solitude, and Hat used his magic to get some gloves that could lift Dwarf Star, and they lift Superman's key and got into the fortress.
Which was pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. It sucked, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Have a big key. Now, it wasn't a giant key, but it was still a large key, and made of Dwarf Star, so it was still, only Kryptonian basically could lift it, and beyond extra dimensional means.
They go in there, and Manchester steals some tech we're not sure of. But the opening scene of the episode is the elite coming out of like a bar, and basically Supergirl, Dreamer, and Jean, Martian Manhunter, they kidnap Menagerie. Like, they lock her up. And which is crazy because there's never any dialogue later where they're like, hey, where's Menagerie? Like, let her go.
Mm-hmm.
Hat, there's no like, we gotta rescue Menagerie. That's never mentioned. So that's kind of interesting to me that is never brought up, like, really again, like that she's not there.
Yeah. They all separate to do their thing and then come back together for the assassination attempt on Ben Lockwood, which Supergirl saves Ben and his, I don't know,
Cohorts.
Cohorts. Yeah, his assistant, followers. Well, it seems like one of the guys is like his government assistant, kind of thing. But Supergirl and John and Dreamer, they thwart the assassination attempt, and Manchester, the Morai, and Hat disappear. They escape. But yeah, there's no. Oh well, Menagerie didn't meet us here. Where'd she go?
And then one thing that bugged me about this episode is Dreamer's like way too good at her abilities, having never really used any and having like one episode of training.
Right. Well, I mean, how many weeks has it been? I mean, if we take it real time,
10 seasons of Smallville, bro. 10 seasons of Smallville for Clark to learn all his powers. Okay, and harness them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All his powers. But
right.
you know, so I mean, true. You are right. We don't know the time jump, but still, I'm just like, you know, she's pulling like this portal of energy in her hand or whatever. She's like extending and like using her abilities to make Jean more powerful to find Manchester. I was like, okay, like I feel like this is really quick, like some shorthand here, where they were.
Well, I felt the like not helping Jean. I felt that, you know, she kind of used her abilities differently. Like he was trying to psychically connect with them. And, you know, however her abilities work, she was able to project to where they were in a different manner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, kind of like an astral projection.
This is true. This is very true. Good eye.
That's what it appeared to me.
I mean, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like it's just one of those things that if I was watching all these back to back, I'm like, man, that's a big jump in the character to all of a sudden to be right there at that ability. But it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I mean, and when you talk about Smallville, you know what I mean? Every time he got a new power, he mastered it by the end of a single episode.
Oh yeah.
Within a couple of days. But I mean, the beauty of Smallville was how he developed and how much stronger he became throughout the seasons. He was much slower, much weaker. I mean, the first time he got shot, he was bruised, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and then he just takes it. He's like,
yeah.
He's like,
then by the 10th season, when they come after him, was it the 8th season that he was shot by everybody in the farmhouse? Or was that in the 10th season where he was shot by the military in the farmhouse?
I want to say it was the 10th season, but I remember multiple kind of things.
Yeah, I specifically remember the episode, and I just can't remember which one it is, where there's a whole platoon of guys firing on him and just standing there like raindrops hitting him.
Yes, good old Smallville.
Yes, sir. I started getting back into watching that again. It's been a while since I watched it.
So yeah, I always kind of I'm somewhere in the show because like Jania really likes Lois. So if I'm watching it with her, we usually gravitate towards 8, 9, and 10, and we're in
where she's a series regular.
Yeah, and no Lana because Jania cannot stand Lana. But Solomon, you know, he'll look at my DVD set and be like, he'll just like, oh, Daddy, I want to watch Smallville 1 because he thought the cover was interesting. So we started watching the pilot again last night. And I'll tell you, I hadn't watched the pilot. It's been, I think, 3 years since I watched the pilot.
Oh, wow.
Just because, like, I bought the couple seasons I was missing and I decided to watch it all straight through. And I did.
The pilot is fantastic.
It's so good, but there's little things in it that just crack me up, like musical cues, not even like modern musical cues, but like just the orchestration. And then hearing, it's kind of like if you watch Supernatural and you go back and you watch episode 1 and then jump to like season 7 or 8 when Dean talks like this now. When like season 1, like he like talks in more of a normal timbre, and then his voice gets lower and lower as it goes on. Like that's kind of how I felt like you have Clark, hey guys, hey Lana, and then you have Lex, who's like, I'm Lex Luthor, and then like you fast forward, it's like, Lex, what are you doing? Shut up, Clark. Like,
right.
So it was just kind of funny to hear. Like just the difference.
Heck, the pilot of Smallville. It's kind of like the trilogy rule from How I Met Your Mother. If you're not watching it at least once every 3 years, like
yeah. I mean, yeah, that's what I felt like. It was time. Like And also, like I told you before, when I drive the kids to my mother-in-law's, there is a cross next to a graveyard by a cornfield that I'm like, man, Jania, we need to stop one night and we just recreate the Scarecrow scene from Smallville. I'll just jump up there in my underwear, you'll spray paint an S on me, and I'll just be like, help me. I'm like, and then if I get arrested, it'll be a very weird story to tell people.
Right.
Like, what were you doing? Recreating the scene from Smallville.
Are you going to commit and have her tie you to it, or?
Yeah. Well, I think we'll make it look like it because if I'm too tied, if the cops show up, I can't run.
Right? Like, I'm stuck. I ain't going nowhere.
And then I'll be like, I'll make sure we bring the DVD case with us so I can be like, look, Smallville.
Right.
But back to Supergirl.
Yes.
This episode, wait, one more thing about Dreamer. I feel like she's a little too cocky in this episode because the character makes a comment about Supergirl's sidekick, and she's like, sidekick? I'm like, hold on. Like, you didn't even want to be a superhero. You barely learn your stuff. You need to calm down your whole, like, not wanting to be a sidekick thing. Just embrace what you're doing. Calm down before Supergirl punches you in the face.
Yeah. Well, with Dreamer, I like the part where they go to the fortress and they're fighting the Morai, the Hat, and Manchester. She comes in and what'd she say? Stop or die.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Just take it down to about a 7.
Stop or I'll really hurt you? Like, or else?
Yeah, stop or else.
Yeah.
I forget the exact line. It was close to that, but yeah.
So everyone's had like I think if any character has the biggest arc in this episode is John. And I say John because I feel like by the end of the episode, he's kind of re-embracing his idea of being a manhunter. Mm-hmm. Because he talks about things that Manchester brings out in him, and he has this anger towards him and just the hate that Manchester feels. And it's really interesting because we get a great scene of John kind of squaring off with Manchester, and they're talking, and we learn that it's a projection that Manchester has. It's not really him, but the words are no less true.
Yeah, he's projected from some of the tech he got in the fortress. He's projected holograms of himself all over the place, and but yeah, he is really pushing John's buttons. Trying to bring out inside of him, what he knows is there, the pain and everything of him losing his family and stuff, trying to get him to embrace that again. Like the pain that he felt when he lost Fiona. But, he's really working him. And, John is, I'll find you, and I'll find you like a manhunter. Mm-hmm. Changes back into Martian Man. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure they said that once. I can't remember if it was last season or early this season.
I thought it was when Clark and Lois were in there. But I could.
Yeah, I know somebody said that there was a Sun Eater there. So I was like, oh, that's pretty sweet, Dwarf Star Key, Sun Eater. They've got the Kryptonian statues of his parents. Brainy even told Kelex to, what do you say, go smash his head against the cosmic anvil.
Yep.
Where Clark creates the mini suns for the Sun Eater.
Brainy has a nice revelation where we find out that he is the American alien. That's what it was called, right?
Yes.
Which is interesting because do you remember a few years back when his name just left me.
Can't remember the writer, but yeah, there was a Superman story called American Alien.
Yeah, it was Max Landis, son of John Landis. Writer. John Landis, the director, Max Landis, screenwriter, wrote Chronicle and everything. He had written a miniseries called American Alien. It's not bad. I liked issue 1 and I think there's like one other issue I actually really liked. The rest of them are just kind of but it made me think of that, just like a callback, like a nod, like if you're paying attention, American Alien.
Yeah. As soon as I got the tagline, the poster's name, the poster's ID, I was like, oh yeah, that's a callback to an old Superman story. But yeah, Brainy organizes the pro-alien march against the rally to ratify the Alien Amnesty Act, which, in turn, that kind of brings us over to Haley at the DEO. She's not as bad as she was. I mean, give her a chance, and I'm sure she can be. Again, easily. I mean, she is who she is, but at this point, she kind of has a job at the DEO, as well as working under the president. But she's obviously seeing some things that aren't right as well. Like in this episode, her concern was not for a pro-alien march. It was concern for the volatile situation of having the march standing across from the anti-alien rally. So it was still more of a concern of the overall situation, as opposed to where she's very much in the past seemed anti-alien, for the most part. And so to see her, be more concerned with the situation than the fact of aliens gathering, it was actually kind of nice to see her from that perspective, as opposed to, more of the hateful anti-alien person that she has seemed in the past.
Well, one thing is, last episode, like, she was really, really hurt by, I think, more of a personal, when she found out the president had went behind protocol at everyone's back and built that, that satellite and everything.
Right. Yeah, like I said, I think she sees that there is other things going on. Probably more heinous things going on behind the scenes than what's physically out there in front of people's faces, and what's being made public.
Yeah. And then, I mean, Supergirl, I feel like she did good in this episode, but she really took a back seat. And I get it. Like, sometimes I think it's really good to let the other characters shine. And I feel like this episode, she was in the background. So
yeah, she wasn't really. I mean, she had a strong part. I mean, she saved Lockwood from the assassination attempt, which obviously she would. They're not just her, Superman. That's their thing. They're not just going to let somebody die even if the world's going to be better off. They're not just going to let somebody die if they have the power to stop it.
Right.
But she saves them, and she is there to protect the march, to oversee. But then she decides, after she sees the assistant to Ben, being vocal, next to being violent, almost yelling at the alien march, things like that, and saying that they're different from Supergirl. that she is not the same as these aliens. These people who are in the marsh are just, they're from war-torn worlds. They're refugees. They don't have a home to go back to, all that kind of stuff. And they're just trying to make a life and make a living and just provide and live and coexist peacefully. And she decides to join the march as an alien. She covers up her shield. She wears a cloak to cover up her uniform. And she joins the march as an alien, not as Supergirl.
And you know what? My thing is, I think it was a bad choice because everyone knows Supergirl is an alien. But as soon as it's just her with that cloak, it's one step to looking too much like Kara. And you're like, you could, easily start to be like, oh, that looks like Kara without her glasses, because like that emblem and everything is not taking your focus.
Right. The emblem, the larger than life persona.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's that is true too, because she doesn't have in past comics and things like that. At one point she was Linda Danvers. She doesn't have a name like that. She still goes by Kara. Kara Danvers, Kara Zor-El.
Yeah.
And she said that as she lands with the cloak and she joins the march, she's Kara Zor-El, refugee of Krypton. She's not Supergirl. She's Kara Zor-El. Well, yeah, Kara Zor-El is still pretty dang close to Kara Danvers.
Yeah, Kara. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it would just strike you like, oh my God. Like,
that is one thing the entire series that I've kind of been like, I don't know. Would she really use her alien given name as her human name and, kind of make it public? Like, yeah, my name is Kara Zor-El. My name is Kara Danvers. Like, and pronounce it the same and everything else. Not like, oh, this is Kara, this is Kara.
Yeah.
Like they didn't even change that. I always figured that because it's not like it's Clark Kent and it's Kal-El.
Mm-hmm.
When he's Superman, his Kryptonian name is Kal-El. He is not Clark Kent to anybody else who doesn't know that he is Clark Kent. He is Kal-El.
Mm-hmm.
So, but she is Kara. She doesn't have an Earth name. She still uses her alien name. So that has always been a small sticking point. But after 4 seasons, you just kind of, up until this episode, you kind of just go with it.
Yeah. It was Linda. She was Linda Lee at one time. Mm-hmm. In different things. And I agree. Like she needs a different name because it just, I don't know. It bothers me, but moving on. What else happened this episode?
So yeah, just during the fight, Manchester is, he's using the ring, the Legion ring. He flies, he does a couple of things. And he basically escapes into the room with the Sun Eater, and everybody assumes that he's dead.
Yeah,
John can't psychically connect or feel him anywhere.
Yep, and then everyone thinks he's dead, and then he appears at the end with the projections, and it was part of his way of intensifying the rally and being that third person. But all in all, what would you give this episode?
I give the episode probably about a 7. Some holes, some questions, some things we kind of pick up on where, like the Kara thing, you just go with it until this episode kind of forces you to look at it a little bit. And Yeah, probably about a 7. Entertaining. The good guys win for the most part. You know, they get the people to kind of see that humanity isn't as bad. Humanity isn't Ben Lockwood and the anti-alien sentiment. Which actually, one thing we didn't mention is at the very end of the episode, what happens to Jimmy?
Yeah, I wanted to get there. I wanted to leave us on that. So at the end of the episode, what do you call it? Jimmy is happy and is, walking out, and all of a sudden gets, turns because the phone rings and gets shot. And if you watch the scene, it looks like he gets shot in the back shoulder. And then he's just laying there in a pool of blood. So it was like, man, this is crazy. But like I told my wife, like, it looks like he got shot in the back of the shoulder. He'll live. Might be sore, might hurt, he might lose some blood, but he'll live.
I have to look at it again because it kind of looked like he got shot in the middle of the back.
That's where
almost the spine.
That's where it should have been,
Yeah.
But my problem is, it's not been announced that he's leaving the show. There's too much meta knowledge, So like, oh, he'll be fine because, he's not leaving the show. He's got to be fine.
Right.
And but I mean, it'd be awesome if they pulled something we didn't suspect, like Jimmy's paralyzed.
Right. That would actually kind of, I don't know, that would be interesting if this kind of, just to pull something out you wouldn't see coming, if Lena did something with her superhuman research.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going
to repair Jimmy or something, give him powers or whatnot.
That's kind of what I was.
Is that where your mind was going to?
Yeah, since we haven't got like the Manchester thing, I'm kind of like, somebody we know has to be tested on.
Right. And a life-threatening bullet in the back might force the hand there. Like, he's going to die if we don't do this. He could die if we do this. What's going to happen? So it'll be interesting to see if that comes up next week, because next week we get Lex Luthor.
Yeah, we do. And
John Cryer's Lex Luthor.
And that's where we're going to put a pin in it right there. And stay tuned, because we're going to be talking a lot more about John Cryer and Lex in next week's episode of Supergirl.
Look up in the sky.
Look up in the sky.
Look up in the sky. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Krypton Report. You can also email us at kryptonreportpod@gmail.com. If you get a chance to go over to iTunes, please leave us a review to help us get better. If you're an Amazon shopper, just remember you can go to southgatemediagroup.com. There's a portal log into Amazon, and you'll shop into your account just regular, but it also helps keep all the podcasts on and helps keep Southgate running. Remember, look up in the sky.